critique of Anderson's active control of thought model. Now let us look at some of the positives and negatives that second language theorists have highlighted regarding Anderson's model. A major criticism that Anderson's model has faced is that second language theorists do not agree with Anderson's position that all second language learning begins with explicit learning of the rules, and later on these rules are moved into the subconscious or become automatized once the learning has taken place. These theorists argue that there are several aspects of second language, grammar also, where the children or the adults who are in the process of learning the second language, they do not begin with the learning of the rules. Rather, at times they learn the language or aspects of the language in certain patterns. So whole chunks of language are picked up. In response to this, Anderson argues that probably it would be better if declarative knowledge, and let me remind you that declarative knowledge means a knowledge of the rules of the knowledge of the language. They can be divided into two different streams. So there can be a declarative knowledge which is subconscious, and there can be declarative knowledge which is conscious. So children might be picking up language, but this language is still essentially declarative, but the process involved is subconscious. So they don't realize that they are picking up the rules of the language because these are subconscious. However, later on, or regarding some other aspects, they might be picking up certain rules and actually explicitly learning those grammatical rules and applying them to the learning of the second language. There are other second language learners, however, who side with Anderson's model, and they say that this model is helpful in explaining certain aspects of second language learning which are more peripheral, that is, the more on the borderlines, and which does not relate to the core of the second language, but some more complex structures might follow the route that Anderson is mentioning. Keeping that in mind, second language researchers have applied the ACT model to the learning of strategies and also to fluency development in second language learning. Now, coming to think of our own second language classrooms, you would realize that we do somehow base our learning on the assumptions that are highlighted in Anderson's model. So when you are teaching them, or actually you start by teaching the rules of the language, whenever you are confronted or challenged by the task of teaching the second language in your classrooms, you teach certain rules to the child. You also ask your children then to use associative knowledge and apply the rules to certain exercises, or you give them some space to use that language in the classroom, either in written or oral form. And gradually you realize when you check their work that the rule that the child was initially taught explicitly or clearly is now somehow embedded in the knowledge system of the child, and has become automatized, and the child has now learned the language. Although the critique done in relation to the first language, that when the children are learning the first language, they of course do not start by learning the rules. That is a major and a substantial critique of Anderson's model. However, Anderson's model does have certain applications in formal language learning.